So, hello, Hilary Tam of AWS. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? The sun is shining.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in London. It's great to have you here. So, I'd like you to start off, if that's all right, by sort of introducing yourself, talking a little bit about your role, and also how you first got into sustainability.
Yeah, well, it's great to be back. This is my third year. But yes, I'm Hilary. I lead sustainability for AWS for EMEA. And what that means is I have the privilege of working with customers who are as excited about sustainability as I am and really seeing it as a commercial innovation opportunity and a way to create value for people, planet, and business. So no longer is it only just a reporting and compliance topic, but it's really, a path to which folks can grow in harmony with people and planet. So yeah, super exciting space. And then I guess the question around how I got into sustainability. I mean, I've been very lucky to be able to work with purpose and impact throughout my career, and it really started off early days. Actually, I was a climate and energy campaigner with Greenpeace. So
I used to work with Greenpeace as
did
well.
you? No way. Okay, cool. So I started off at Greenpeace Canada, and then I was seconded to Greenpeace International, had a taste of European summers, and here I am. But yes, so yeah, Greenpeace, I mean, it is a very highly strategic organization in terms of maybe, seeing where there's gaps and giving it a little poke, whereas now the landscape's really transformed, which is, hey, this is like a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Come with us or get left behind. So that's a little bit of my journey. But yeah, I've been working in sustainability for well over a decade now. I did a bit of consulting around sustainability strategy and communications, but then also in-house roles, most recently with ARM, semiconductor chip IP, and now at AWS for the last 3 years.
That's brilliant. There's so much to unpack there. But yeah, thank you for sharing a bit of context to your career. It sounds fascinating. So I'd like to sort of dive into your talk today. If you could just explain to our viewers in simple terms what you spoke about.
Okay, so my talk today was around unlocking data for sustainability innovation. So trying to take a topic that might feel a little bit more like a headache or foreign to sustainability practitioners to flip that narrative, because we know that data is going to be critical in terms of how we transform our organizations to be future fit, to be successful, competitive, relevant, even as we're in a carbon intense, resource constrained world. While we don't want to just focus too much on reporting and compliance, we have seen that as a driver to, drive this once in a generation data transformation where all of this data that lives in spreadsheets offline is coming online for the first time. And you can use it for reporting, that's great and important. But if you just look at it from that perspective, it's a cost center. But what is all of that data, again, online for the first time going to be able to tell you about? How can you improve your customer experience? Like, how could that feed into how you think about future products and services to your R&D team? So really unlocking and leveraging that data for more than just solving operational challenges to look at, again, that commercial innovation opportunity.
It's a really interesting subject. Data is... we have more data now than we have ever done before, and it's an incredibly useful and valuable thing. But also, like you said, very overwhelming at times if you don't know how to use it correctly. I was just wondering, has data really been a focus for you at AWS in recent years, or is it particularly this year, maybe?
Yeah. So I would say data is really our bread and butter, but we're leveraging all of our experience and expertise in that space to really turn it towards sustainability, because like you were alluding to, there's a lot of challenges with collecting data. Often it's siloed in different places. We have a stat that 86% of organizations are still capturing their data on spreadsheets. We know that data isn't often integrated or organized in a way that makes it useful or to make it easy to get insights from, and also data quality and integrity. So a lot of what we're doing at AWS, including creating guidance around creating a sustainability data fabric, is really bringing together the best practices of data management foundations to be able to take all of these different data sources and ingest them in a way that reduces the need for like very time intensive manual translation, to then be able to structure it in a way and use capabilities that allow folks to, in the first instance, like keep it secure, right? Like, folks are using technology tools for the first time. Access controls are really important. Who can use it, who can change it. But then also things like data cataloging, like what do we have? Who owns this data? How has it changed? And then maybe one more example is like data lineage. So as sustainability data improves or we have new data sources, sometimes the numbers we report are going to change. It might go up, it might go down, and it's really important to be able to trace when and why those things are changing for assurance. So I think there's that piece, and then finally making it useful in platforms, formats where folks can really like query and integrate the data in a way that makes sense. Like imagine being a sustainability professional and being able to be like, hey, can you please help me develop a graphic visual that shows the trend of our carbon reduction journey based on these initiatives over this time span. I'm just making things up. But like all of a sudden, you transform the role which over the last couple of years I think has become very, collecting data, hounding people for data, and trying to do like really complex data analysis to back to what the role is meant to be, which is creative, critical problem solving and leveraging your expertise and intelligence to think about implementation and execution.
That's brilliant. I've got a few questions off the back of that. Firstly, data is almost like the fuel for AI, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how AWS is incorporating AI or is exploring AI in its operations. Also, about how you work with your clients to sort of provide them with exactly what they need. Obviously, every client is different. Let's start with those two. I need to think about the other one.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
AI. If
And I think maybe. Yeah, I think that's the really exciting space because we know that technology will help us accelerate sustainability goals. But we're also seeing it the other way around because, as I was saying, we're starting to see this data transformation driven by compliance, reporting, or just the need to modernize how we capture data. And that's really paving the way for AI acceleration because I think folks get really excited, but you don't go from like zero to AI, right? Like again, it's only as good as that data foundation. So that's really how we're tackling it. But in terms of, internal tools, we have folks who are experimenting. We have Amazon Q, which is available to businesses, but also internally for us to experiment and play around with. But I think more importantly, it's those use cases that we're starting to see with customers. We have financial services who are leveraging AI to get a really holistic view of what their portfolio looks like. What are some of the climate risks as well as opportunities? And then how do we translate that into recommendations of actions that can actually be taken to improve their performance? We're seeing tons. I know we're talking a lot about decarbonization, carbon and climate, but one of the big areas we're focusing on is nature and biodiversity. And we know that we cannot solve the climate crisis without thinking about nature. They're intrinsically connected, so I'm glad those topics are coming together, but that's also an incredible space where we're seeing the application of AI really take flight. Because if you think about from sensors to satellite. There's tons of geospatial intelligence that could be made more accessible and useful through AI. So I think those are a couple examples that are quite exciting.
That's great. I wrote a story very recently about AWS in partnership with the Natural History Museum.
Oh my God, yes, James, I saw that article.
Did you? Oh,
yes.
brilliant. Oh,
So,
well,
yes.
I'm glad. Yeah,
Yes, so
it's a fantastic initiative,
Yeah,
and
so that's a partnership that,
yeah.
I've been working on over the last few years, so it's great that
brilliant.
you guys have picked that up.
Yeah, it was a really great project to write about, and it's great to see all the different kinds of ways that technology can be used. It feels like I've heard a lot of people say that it takes a long time to get data and acquire data, and it feels like things are really starting to speed up now that data processing is getting better. So yeah, it's great to hear about a project like that. So we're almost coming to the end now. So basically, I'll have two more questions if that's okay.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So obviously, AWS has a huge supply chain. You work with people all over the world. Thousands upon thousands of suppliers, I imagine. How much of a challenge is net zero for a company with such a big supply chain?
Yeah. I think it's a complex and evolving roadmap, and as part of Amazon, we do have a commitment to get to net zero in our operations by 2040, and that is really going to be through collaboration and partnership, which is why we co-founded the Climate Pledge, which has over 500 plus signatories working together to see how we can go further and faster together. So yeah, it's definitely not a easy roadmap, but I think we're all on a journey here, and I think as you were saying around how technology can help and that adoption, I think the key message today was really for sustainability professionals to tap into the kind of IT technology function within their organization to be able to accelerate impact and learn and be curious, check out some of the incredible tooling and digital solutions and software out there that could really transform, because having been in a sustainability role myself in the operational space, I think there's a lot of this is how we normally do things. We think about materiality assessments, now double materiality assessments. We think about, our usual stakeholder maps and how we execute. But actually now there are incredible collaboration tools, as well as tools like one of the ones we highlighted today, the AutoMac, which really helps customers accelerate their decarbonization journey and identify those areas where there are solutions today, but even from a data-informed approach to identify those areas where they might need to partner or look for, or uncover those areas of innovation.
Thank you so much. So one final question that we are asking everybody is if you had to give one piece of sustainability advice, what would it be?
I think my piece of advice would be to embrace data and embrace technology, and also to really embrace, I think a few of these conferences previously, there'd always be a session or a track around hey, what if we work ourselves out of the sustainability role because we've integrated into everything? I think we are starting to see that integration point. I think there's still a role, don't worry, not so quickly. But this is where it's really around embedding sustainability across your organization from an operational perspective, but also from a commercial sales organization perspective.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
Hilary Tam, thank you very much.
Great, thanks.